Hello, and welcome to our video contemplation of day signature 53. This frequency corresponds to the Nine of Wands, the prime instinct to become, and the wand virtue of overflow. It is represented by the angels of influence and impact.
Yeah. Wow. So we have the 31st angel of influence, who walks the pathway of humility to become the embodiment of leadership. And we also have the 53rd angel of impact, who walks the pathway of expansion to become the embodiment of infinity.
Yesterday we worked with the embodiment of the Almighty. Felt like we were at this ultimate height.
Yeah, we thought that was intense.
Today we work with the embodiment of infinity itself. Oh my. What a day. As usual, there's a lot of ground to cover. As usual, we come to you totally excited and prepared in ways we have yet to even meet. So let's begin at the beginning. Let's do as we normally would and lay the groundwork for everything that's going to happen, beginning with the 9. We're in the 9 of Wands, so we meet new keynotes today in the 9. What are our keynotes?
The keynotes for the 9 are spaciousness and fulfillment.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think the 9 traditionally is seen as this point of culmination, or sort of, it is the end of the sequence just about. So we usually go from 1 through 10, and the 9 really represents this zenith.
It does, because when we move into the 10 of Wands tomorrow, it's as if we've already completed the sequence of wands at that point, and we're being introduced to the next sequence.
Next octave up.
Yeah, and in this case, the whole new set of virtues. When we arrive today, at this moment, in the 9 of Wands, we are coming to the peak of this particular mountain we've been climbing, so to speak. We're really excited about what we see here. Spaciousness is a very easy and direct tie into the pathway of expansion. You can get a feeling for how brilliantly these different pieces connect right out the gate. So 9 of Wands, we're dealing with activity in the wands. Of course, this wand virtue of overflow speaks beautifully to what has come of all the steps we've taken along the way, all the decisions we've made along the way. These decisions have produced a new way of being in life. And these energies that we have regathered and begun to permit in new directions, aligned with who we are, aligned with our best interest, aligned with that thread of destiny, that larger story we're always going on about. All of these steps and all of these decisions have allowed for that energy to move now in a completely new way, in a way that does not deplete, in a way that does not exploit, in a way that invests and regenerates and expands. This is the overflow. We now, as of today, if you've been following along, realize that you are in the overflow. That's what this day is celebrating.
Yeah, I think if we had an image for this 9 of Wands card, it would be an image of either a waterfall or a fountain, just overflowing, spilling over.
Yeah, I can't help, even though we're in the wands, I can't help but consider some of these interpretations of the cups that you've seen in other tarot
like
decks,
the Thoth Ace of Cups,
where you've got this cup filled to overflowing, and it's the water is just pouring out of this cup often into other cups.
Yeah,
this is an image, the waterfall, this image of a somehow perpetual flow that is moving from some invisible source that never runs dry. This idea that our cup can be filled so completely that it bursts out of us to soak others, to quench the thirst of those around us. This is the life we're being called to. We are not being called to a life of martyrdom or sacrifice. We're being called to a life of such profound fulfillment that the glory and the joy and the excitement of our own individual experience overflows its bounds, pours out of us and into the world as a result of just how filled we are. This is a completely different way of living than most of us have been trained into. We talked yesterday or the day before about how upside down, I think it was yesterday with the angel of gravity, how upside down the whole idea feels. Sit still and watch is the opposite of what we've been told to do. And here today, it's like fill up so completely that you cannot help but share. That is altogether different from give yourself away so completely that there's nothing left to share.
Right.
We are still standing on our heads, but by choosing to do that, what we're really doing is finally standing upright for the first time ever and allowing that larger life to move through us and to move us in a completely new way.
Yeah, I think that this 53rd frequency is sort of the promise of what we were talking about in the 52nd frequency yesterday. This idea of really gathering yourself to your center and sitting still and just this moment of pause where you allow yourself to trust the universe so completely that you surrender in this humility to allowing the universe to just take care of things. And when we finally come to this position where we allow that to happen, this is the promise waiting on the other side. You will be filled to overflowing, and it will be an effortless affair to give.
Yeah. And so yesterday there was that black hole, that perfect density of gravity producing this magnetic indrawing effect. And today is the impact of that, what explodes out the other side as light. It's the sun. And now what was magnetic, it matches the force of that energy, that complete perfection, complete energy in the opposite direction, so to speak. It explodes outward, first inward, then outward. This is the radiance. This is the sunlight. Yeah. That's what we're meeting here.
Yeah, it's like a supernova that condenses really, really, really tightly, like a dense star, and then explodes outward into this brilliant shock of light that just touches everything in the universe.
We're trying to describe in words an image that we see in our heads. We've all seen it in movies. We have a favorite GIF that shows this. But there is that moment where you feel like what once was becomes absorbed in just darkness and there's nothing, but it's such a brief snapshot of a moment. It barely exists before the explosion, and then it's everything all at once. This is the day we meet that. That's what the overflow is. It's an overflow of your light just bursting out into the universe, and of course carrying along with it the result or the impact of that. Everything is changed because of this particular explosion, which is you. You permitting yourself to be, you permitting your light to shine. It's worth noting that what we met yesterday in the Angel of Gravity is not a moment of pause. It's a posture of trust. It's not that you're finally submitting to the idea that if you take your hands off, life will do, and so you give it a chance by pressing pause for 5 minutes to see what happens. We're not talking about testing the universe here, and we're not talking about stopping your activity so that you can get some sleep. We're talking about a complete shift in your embodiment. We're talking about a whole new posture, a whole new way of being in life, rooted in the understanding that you are not responsible for making anything happen. You never have been, nor have you ever been capable of it. Not truly, certainly not sustainably. What we're meeting here is not a moment, but a way. It may feel like a moment as we learn to hold that position. It takes practice, and so it feels like we can only really pull it off in these little moments of intention, and then we forget, and then we have to return. But ultimately what we're returning to is a complete way of being, which is far more natural than what we've been doing, a way of being that ultimately reveals itself as inevitable, so that there is no need to practice past a certain point, and what was once a series of moments is now a sustained posture in life.
Yeah.
Okay. This is the fun of conversations like these, because in conversation, we get to use words and recognize the context they belong in.
Mm-hmm.
We're constantly moving through these different kind of contextual frameworks in order to arrive at an understanding for that ultimate framework, which is underlying all of those other ideas. We're constantly mining for that kind of original ground, that ultimate depth where we can finally hit bedrock.
Mm-hmm.
And then there it is. That's what we're building on.
The foundation.
Yet we're building on a foundation that pre-exists us, a foundation that is larger even than the laws of our universe. It's the original set of principles, the original laws, the original creative intent, all built into this particular ground we seek in these conversations. So when we're sharing ideas or using words that reach for it but don't arrive, we work together to find what we're really after. Mm-hmm. Realizing that there's a process between where any of us are at any given time and what it is that we're after. And that process is, as we've mentioned, a return journey. We're returning to ourselves, and who we are is much larger than we thought. So the process is about releasing a sense of smallness in order to take ownership of the largeness, in order to remember our relationship to life. After we've done this, then the overflow, then the explosion. Once we become available to that life, when we open to it, it sings through us. You could not help but move differently than you did before. This is all a part of what we're sensing in this day's energy. Mm-hmm. So there's your wand virtue of overflow. Yep. Prime instinct to become. Mm-hmm. This is about growth. Right. This is actually connected to the 13th prime, which is life. Mm-hmm. The opposite of death. It used to be the death card. Now it's
the death
life.
Card.
So here we are standing on our heads again, understanding that there is no death, there is only life, and that life perpetuates itself, that it is not only capable of doing this, but that it must, that it always has, that it currently is, and that it always will be doing that. It is constantly becoming what? More. Mm-hmm. It is constantly becoming more. And that's what this day brings as well. Again, this is how we end up in the overflow. If you fill the cup and you think you're done, no, you fill the cup to overflow. You're constantly becoming more. If you visit the card page on our website and you read the icons that we have at the top of that page from left to right, you're literally going to read the words become overflow.
Mm-hmm. The Nine of Wands. Yeah.
What did I say?
No, you just said the card.
The card, yeah, Nine of Wands. Go to the Nine of Wands card on our website, and that's what you'll see. Become overflow. Just like yesterday. What was yesterday's word? Do you recall offhand? We wrote it down.
Mm-hmm. Embody.
No, the other one.
Oh, synergy.
Okay, synergy. Yesterday would have read embody synergy. Right. That's what our whole conversation was about. Mm-hmm. Today, again, it reads like a sentence. Become overflow. How? How do you become overflow? Is that something you can do through effort? No, of course not. We've all exhausted that avenue. Mm-hmm. We've all proven that does not sustain, that you don't become overflow through effort. Through effort, you deplete capacity. Mm-hmm. We're talking about exploding beyond the boundaries of any apparent container of capacity you've ever known. This is about becoming infinite. This is about becoming an embodiment of something which never stops what? Growing.
Becoming more.
Becoming more is growth. The embodiment of infinity is what this describes. The embodiment of infinity is growth. Mm-hmm. That's what that means. It feels like such a big thing to say that this angel becomes the embodiment of infinity. Oh man, infinity. We can't even wrap our minds around infinity. True on the one hand, not at all true on the other hand. We witness infinity all the time. We talked a few days ago about this idea of a seed that was extremely excited to become a daisy, when in fact, it was never a daisy to begin with. It was a magnificent sequoia, a redwood. The difference, one of many differences between a daisy and a sequoia, is that a daisy will grow to a certain size, and then it's a daisy. Whereas a tree, like the magnificent redwood, will grow and never stop growing. It can grow for thousands of years. It just keeps growing. That's infinity. Infinity is growth. That's all. It's the promise of perpetual growth. We actually witness this all around us all the time. Unfortunately, we've been taught through all these different mechanisms, we've been taught to disqualify ourselves from that natural movement. Somehow we have to earn it. Somehow we only have so many hours in a day. Somehow our resources are finite. So all around us, life continues to reproduce itself. All around us, the cycles and seasons continue to cycle and season, but we are dying. It's absurd. We are growing. We are no different from the redwood. We may have thought we were a daisy, but we are not. We are much, much larger. And so inherent to this embodiment of infinity is the subject of growth. It's a promise. So we become, and we do not stop becoming, and we overflow. Inherent to growth is overflow as well. If we play out this metaphor a little further, we talked about this on our walk, that redwood is going to become so much more than it ever could have imagined, even if it knew it was a redwood, even if it knew it would develop this size and these branches and these leaves. It could not have imagined the countless communities that its presence would serve. Its impact extends so far beyond anything it will ever become aware of. It knows I am a sequoia, and so it does sequoia. That's what it does. And somehow in so doing, it becomes a home. It becomes shelter. It becomes a source of oxygen for the world. It becomes more things than even we've yet computed with all of our scientific know-how. Its existence takes on a meaning, a value, and has an impact that exceeds any calculation. And that's a tree.
Yeah.
You are a conscious being, an organic entity. You are a human being. You are you. You're over here thinking perhaps that you're going to be a really nice psychologist or human design reader or mom or whatever. Not that these things are in any way small or insignificant. It's just that they're smaller than what you are. They're included perhaps in what and who you are. But the promise here is that you are so much larger that you couldn't possibly compute the quality or the content or the quantity of that impact. You can't possibly calculate the extent of your own impact, especially when you finally take your hands off and relax into this synergistic world of gravity and radiance that is a natural part of who you are. It's built into who you are by virtue of your existence. That's the point. What else do you see? Did I miss anything? You see connections. Laura has this way of seeing connections that I would never see in a million years. So I always have to give her a chance to draw them.
I mean, I think that what you're speaking on is the perfect segue to the angels, because we can really understand what you're talking about when you think about it in context of like just the angel names themselves. You have the angel of influence and you have the angel of impact. And we were actually talking before we started recording how very similar these two angel names are. Influence and impact are almost synonyms, but at the same time, influence is something you could also look at it as influence is something you can see, and impact is something that is invisible and extends far beyond mere influence. But this is what we're talking about. We're talking about the fact that what your life touches is extremely influential and impactful, and it is meant to stretch far beyond the capacity of what you could ever understand. But the point is that that's what you're here to do. You're here to have an extremely important role or place within the context of life. In your life in particular, you don't need to know like how you impact or how you influence, but you do need to understand that your life is very important, and to just commit your whole self to it, to understanding that who you are makes a difference. And as long as you are loving what you love and enjoying life, that impact only increases. It becomes so powerful the more you actually enjoy your life. That's the whole point of what we're talking about.
Yeah. Impact is one of those things we want to measure quantitatively, but actually it's a qualitative value.
Yeah.
The impact becomes greater as the quality increases.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a matter of quality, not quantity, or the quality directly impacts the quantity. That's what it's about. Your impact is inevitable. The question is, of what quality will that impact be? Are you impacting in a way that repeats and reinforces old stories of limitation? Or are you impacting in a way that uplifts and empowers and calls beyond those limiting stories? That's the main question. Mm-hmm. And when we think in these terms, you can clearly see that the impact first and foremost is internal. Your own ideas are impacting or producing an inner world that directly impacts your outer world. Wow. This is how it is that we produce a reality around ourselves. Mm-hmm. This is how it is that we become, kings or queens of our own kingdom. And that kingdom is either going to be beautiful and vital and rich and thriving, or it's going to be a disaster zone. It's up to you. Yeah. So that's what I sense in what you just shared. I can't help but see the pathway of humility in this too. Mm-hmm. Because when we're talking about a circle of influence, and when you realize how responsible you are for the quality of your own impact on the world around you, we need to understand what it means to walk the pathway of humility. I think the first thing to realize is that humility in this context, the angel pathway of humility, has nothing to do with self-diminishment. Mm-hmm. This isn't about pretending that you are somehow small or insignificant or unworthy. It's literally the opposite. What I see in humility, if I can recall the way that I was imagining this earlier, what I see in humility is twofold. You were going to help me remember. I think I got it though. The first side is a complete release of control. Mm-hmm. It's the let go. It's the realization that there is a life moving beneath your ideas, beneath your expectations, beneath your opinions, and absolutely beneath your fears and insecurities and sense of smallness. There is a great story unfolding literally beneath your feet. And so humility is the willingness and the decision, capital D decision, the no choice to finally stop attempting to manage or manipulate or control that flow in any way. No more swimming upstream. No more exhausting yourself. No more living out someone else's story. You take your hands off and release yourself to the flow of your own story, to the expanding narrative of your destiny. That's what you're doing. Mm-hmm. That's the first side. The other side is what comes of receiving any gift. The other side of humility is the recognition that you have been given something completely free of charge. It's what comes of recognizing grace, capital G. Why have you been given this gift? Imagine someone gives you something amazing. Someone hands you the keys to a kingdom. You've never met this person before. All you know is now you have inherited something beyond your wildest imagination. And you say, what? Really? But why? Mm-hmm. Why me? Mm-hmm. And the response comes back something to the effect of, because you are so worthy, or because you are so loved. In any case where we receive a gift for no reason other than pure love, as an extension of grace, we struggle with knowing what to do with a gift like that because we have yet to walk this pathway of humility. But very quickly we can begin to discern what is appropriate in such a case. Thank you. Mm-hmm. Thank you is appropriate. Celebration is appropriate. To cherish the gift, to care for the gift, to thoroughly enjoy the gift. This is how we honor the gift. Humility is not making ourselves small. It's standing up to the fullest possible extent of our stature because it's been given to us, because it's the only way to honor the gift of life that is yours. You exist. What? Yeah. Own that. That's how you say thank you for the gift. Humility is not self-asserting or self-diminishing. It is completely sovereign, completely autonomous, because that's the gift that's been given. It's to take the keys to the kingdom and make something of it. Mm-hmm. Rule the kingdom. Become the creator you are.
Yeah. And I think inherent in any sort of worry that, it's egoic or your ego is going to run away, on this runaway train, just the sheer fact that you have that concern means there's no concern at all about that ever happening.
Yeah. Ego emerges when we're attempting to earn through ambition, earn through effort. When someone gives you a gift, there's not even an opportunity for ego to emerge because it's a surprise. That's the value of a gift. Mm-hmm. It's not because you're so special. It's because you are so special. That's the difference. It's the same words, but you feel the difference. The one is like a ha-ha. The ego thinks it earns things. Mm-hmm. What we're referring to is an awareness of grace. That strips the ego from the conversation. There is no ego. There is only your unique personality, and that must express. Mm-hmm. That's why personality is another angel pathway. We're meant to be who we are. We're not meant to pretend to be anything other than that. That means we're not meant to pretend to be large. We're not meant to pretend to be important. Why? Because all of that's built in. You're only fooling yourself if you're attempting to be something that you already naturally are. In that case, all you've done is cover the real thing with a facade, with an artifice of that thing. Mm-hmm. So we release all of that and we learn, we say it over and over again, we learn to marvel at the miracle. Because only in doing this, only in being amazed, only in allowing the surprise, are we ever going to honor that great gift effectively. It's the only honorable thing to do. We marvel at the miracle. That's what we're called to do. It could not be more simple. And this is why the angels have told us that the purpose of life is enjoyment. Why? Because your life is a gift. Mm-hmm. Enjoy it. If you attempt to give it back or to earn it in some way, you are disqualifying yourself not only from receiving the gift, but from effectively honoring it. The only appropriate thing for us to do is to say, yes, please, and thank you. I love you. This life is so good. This is how we learn to cherish. Mm-hmm. This is how we learn to recognize every single moment as absolutely precious. It's the pathway of humility. And what does this become? It becomes the embodiment of leadership. Yeah. Not the embodiment of a leader. You're not trying to be a leader. You are leading by virtue of your willingness to marvel at the miracle, by virtue of your willingness to see grace where there is only grace existent in your world. Mm-hmm. That's what it means to truly lead. That's leadership with a capital L. Again, there is no pretending to be a leader. This is not some role that we are trying to stand up into. Leadership is inherent to the pathway of humility. Influence is inherent to that. Mm-hmm. We become leaders by releasing the idea that we need to lead or teach or change anything or anyone outside of ourselves. We become leaders by allowing our light to explode out of us in the way it was always meant to do. And that directly connects us, of course, to the next angel.
Impact.
The angel of impact on the pathway of expansion to become the embodiment of infinity. Expansion, infinity, growth, miracles, they're all the same. It's all the same soup. This is what we live in. This is what we're breathing. It shows up in many different ways. It shows up in conversation. It shows up in form. Lucky me. It shows up in money, in opportunity, in ideas. We're swimming in it. It never, ever stops. The growth is inherent to living. Mm-hmm. In any case where you're not experiencing that, it's only because you have yet to permit yourself simply to live a life that is your own. That's all. It's not a great big leap to get from where we have been, which is deeply unfulfilling, to where we have always belonged, which is ultimate fulfillment and the overflow of that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's getting out of our own way, very simply put. But at that point that we're able to recognize that and do that, that's when we experience the overflow, the inherent, everything that we were searching for already there.
Already there. And so the gasping surprise of that is the very thing that pours out of us. That's the very thing that others witness. That's what we're referring to, at least to some extent, here as light. This brings us back to something we read yesterday. We read a piece from my conversation with Heliodor, one sentence in particular. This sentence is like the perfect connection between yesterday's angel of gravity and today's angel of impact. We noted it at the time. I'd like to revisit it again now. Would you like to read it verbatim?
Yes.
Okay.
So from Heliodor yesterday, you are a center of gravity. Impact is held in the light.
Amazing. Literally, gravity and impact are beside one another in this sentence. You are a center of gravity. Impact is held in the light. And so you are a center of gravity, and there's that absorbing, returning all of that energy to yourself, that moment of complete darkness where you're thinking, am I alone? Does any of this matter? Am I doing it right? And then explosion, impact is held in the light. You're meant to express, you're meant to be yourself until you recall all of your energy from being all of those other things you are not. You'll never get a chance. And so you bring it all back into this center of you, and you allow yourself to mean so much that life can begin to happen through you. We talked about being musicians yesterday. Even more, I'd say appropriate as a metaphor, is that we are the instruments. We're meant to be the ones making the music. It sings through us. We're the flutes. Life is breathing us. That's what's really happening. So that expression, it has got to happen. What this leads us to is another conversation with another stone that happened less than 1 month later, around 1 month later. And this was with Topaz. We've shown it to you before.
Yeah.
And it doesn't come through, but I just always like to show that it's literally with us here. As we're sitting here in conversation with you, these friends are with us and will remain so.
Yeah, this is definitely one of my favorite conversations. But
mine
again,
too.
It is an absolutely perfect tie-in to this understanding of the impact being held in the light.
Yes.
This idea of light, and Topaz, without any prompting, continued that conversation from where we left off with Heliodor to elaborate on what was said.
So generous, because as we mentioned yesterday, I was already kind of at my wit's end with what I was receiving from Heliodor. It felt beyond me. It felt like I couldn't bring myself to believe it, because it would be somehow haughty or irresponsible to consider an idea so large.
Which is a perfect example of the pathway of humility.
Oh, interesting.
If you ask me.
That's interesting. I had never seen it that way. That carefulness is the very thing that qualifies me in this case to recognize a truth like that, and now qualifies us to share that same truth with you, knowing now, all this time later, years later, that this wasn't just an interesting or creative idea. It was an explicit statement of inner reality, of truth. And if it's true of me, then it's true of Laura. And if it's true of us, then it's true of you. This is a fundamental principle of life itself. So Topaz shows up and miraculously continues the conversation. Would you like to read it?
Sure.
Okay.
So Topaz says, "There is great strength in the light. Don't be fooled by its rarefied form. The highest of frequencies harbor the greatest impact. The lighter you are and become, the greater the influence you will achieve. Less is not less, but much more. Love is but one gentle form of this greater force we describe. This is the heaven of heavens, the music informing all life."
Yum.
Dang.
Right?
But I love how not only was this a continuation of yesterday, the angel of gravity, but Topaz specifically mentions two angels by name today's angels, the angel of impact and the angel of influence, in this excerpt from this conversation.
2 years ago. More than 2 years ago.
Yeah. So cool.
So yesterday with Heliodor, we have this sequence played out from gravity to impact long before we had met the angels, long before the liberated tarot had revealed itself in its very specific sequence that we are still just mind blown by, long before we ever discovered that there was such a thing as a day signature moving in a very particular sequential cycle.
Yeah.
All of this was laid out. And again, here, the two angels that we find in today's signature side by side in a single sentence in a conversation from more than 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
There is an intelligence moving through all of us. This particular intelligence moved through me to the page, through the stone into me, onto the page, and right back into us. And only now, all this time later, are we even capable of beginning to decode the genius that was infused in those words from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Absurdly delicious, like utterly miraculous. There's no other way of seeing it. So what does it mean truly for the impact to be held in the light? We learn a piece of what it means here. The highest of frequencies harbor the greatest impact. That feels a little surprising.
Mm-hmm.
You think in terms of density oftentimes as having a lower frequency, like the difference between a rock and the wind. And you think if you're going to drop a rock on something, that's got to be a larger impact than a breeze, right? So oftentimes we get confused when we're speaking in terms of frequency because we don't understand truly on a very spiritual, or we could potentially even say scientific level, what's happening. But what we're seeing here is that the higher frequencies are actually denser, so to speak. They hold more information. They carry more power.
Letting more light through.
They're letting more light through. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it is.
Yeah. Imagine if, the cloud obscured some of the sun's rays. Mm-hmm. You're not going to feel that warmth. But as soon as you start shedding away, peeling away these layers and allowing more light through, that obviously that's going to make an impact. And there's going to be more influence felt by not only yourself, but others around you.
That's actually the best metaphor I've ever heard or considered until now. What happens for us here on Earth? We see the cloud, we don't feel the warmth or see the light of that sun, and we think that the cloud is more real than the light right on the other side of that cloud. That cloud is equal in this metaphor to our own ideas about ourselves, our own ideas about how life works, what's possible, what isn't possible, what we should or shouldn't be doing. All of these things, they're clouds in our own inner atmosphere. Mm. And we look at them and we look around us and we say, well, they must be true because I'm witnessing their effect. Yeah. I don't feel the warmth. Therefore, there must be no warmth. Or if there is, certainly this cloud is more powerful because it's blocking that warmth. Never going to be the truth.
Yeah.
That light is never less warm just because a cloud exists. That light never went anywhere at all. The cloud is just in the way. The cloud dissipates. The cloud is there and it goes. Yeah. It vaporizes. That light is consistent. You'll never see the same cloud twice, but you awaken to that same sun day after day. This is a perfect metaphor.
Yeah, I'm thinking of, when you decide to tell a new story, your words, to actually speak those words, tell a new story, that's equivalent to the wind blowing those clouds away.
Yeah, it
is.
Is
Literally like, we think about expression and words being correlated to the wind element. Just blow them away. That's what we're doing.
This metaphor could go on for days. I think it's extremely, extremely significant. Mm-hmm. If you point at the cloud and you say, the cloud is here, though, you're not wrong. You're telling the truth.
Right.
Within a limited context. For one thing, as we've just noted, that cloud is not going to be there forever. It cannot be there forever. Circumstances change. Things move. Mm-hmm. If clouds in general remain a part of your experience, it's because you have become so busy resubscribing to them. Look, a cloud, the cloud is here, the cloud is here, the cloud is here. You are telling the truth in a limited context, but you have to continue resubscribing to that truth because that context is moving and changing. Mm-hmm. The wind keeps blowing them out of the way and you keep bringing them back in.
Yes.
If you, for even a moment, begin to point at the sun and talk about the sun and tell the truth about the sun, do you realize that that truth sustains even when there are clouds in the sky, even as those clouds are passing?
Mm-hmm.
Because that is a sustaining reality.
Yes.
It doesn't go anywhere. The truth that we're pointing at over and over again, the principles that the angels have been teaching us, these are the sun. They are the sustaining reality. They are the capital T truth. How do you know? You know because they remain true no matter what happens. They remain true no matter what you think about yourself. They are the sun. This is awesome. I love this metaphor, and it's perfect for the day because this impact is held in the light.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean? You're getting a sense for it, hopefully. The light is the truth. Impact is held in the truth, the capital T truth. Love is equal to truth. Beauty is equal to truth. Goodness, absolutely.
Life is good.
It's absolutely, yes.
Mm-hmm.
Goodness is equal to truth. So, what I can't help but remember in today's context, and in particular this idea that impact is held in the light, is it's actually a phrase from the Bible. It comes from the Apostle Paul. In Romans, he says something to the effect of, "Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good." This back half of the phrase in particular, overcome evil with good. Several days ago, I was minding my own business when this pops into my head, seemingly out of nowhere. I wasn't looking for it. I wasn't reading the Bible. It just arrived. And along with it came a message from an angel. Now, this is not an angel we've met with yet, although it is an angel that I believe will be the next session. We've kind of known this now for well over a month.
Yeah.
But this angel, yeah. Okay, good. Thought so. The time is flying by.
It is.
Along with overcome evil with good came a message from this angel, and I knew which angel it was in the moment. It said, overcome evil with good is a complete statement. And along with the words, this often tends to happen. It's something we'll certainly address more frequently when it comes time to record commentary videos for these sessions. But along with the words came the complete understanding of what they meant. The angel didn't have to go on and explain it in its own words. It just all kind of arrives. Overcome evil with good is a complete statement. What that means is that evil as a subject is overcome completely by your awareness of good, by your awareness that life is good, by your awareness that the sun is the only sustaining reality and that the clouds dissipate. They are not real. They are phantoms. They are ideas. The sun is not an idea. It is a reality. We feel like the cloud is more of a reality because we can look at it and we can point at it and we can talk about it and complain about it, and it feels observable and real in a way that seems very much more real than the sun when you can't see the sun behind the cloud.
Mm-hmm.
We are called over and over again to overcome evil with good completely. There is no evil. That's what this phrase means. There is no such thing as evil. There is only good. Life is only ever out to benefit you, never to hurt you, never to challenge you, never to test you, only to free, to liberate you and to express itself through you. That's all. I always thought, whether this was something I was taught or something I picked up through implication, I always thought overcome evil with good was like if someone slaps you in the face, you hand them a rose. You know, it's like be kind even to your aggressors. It had this essence of persecution about it. You know, like, hey, life's going to be difficult. You're probably going to come under attack because of who you are or what you believe. When that happens, don't strike back. That's kind of what I took from it. The angel comes along and says, that's not what this is talking about. We're not on a behavioral level with this statement. We're on an essential level, a fundamental level with this statement. The amazing thing about this particular statement and the angel that spoke is that it was the 11th angel of light that produced the message that feeds into this conversation today. That's pretty amazing on the subject of light. Mm-hmm. Impact is held in the light. Impact is held in your awareness of the truth of the good. It's amazing. What this connected to, additionally, was, I think, an answer to the next question that comes. Okay, how do we do that? Like, how do we orient toward the sun even when we can't see it? That same master, the Apostle Paul, in separate letters, said two other things. In another letter, he said something to the effect of, be transformed by the renewal of your minds. Mm-hmm. Step 1, be willing to change how you are thinking. Be transformed by the renewal of your own mind. That's how. This is how we begin to see past the cloud. We learn to recognize the cloud, refuse its existence, and replace our understanding of what's truly happening with the larger reality behind it. Mm-hmm. This is how we cloudburst.
Whoa, that's cool.
There's a hilarious movie called, I think it's The Men Who Stare at Goats. And it's got George Clooney and the guy who played Obi-Wan in the newer Star Wars. I can't remember his name, but I really like him. Ewan McGregor.
Okay.
I love that movie. The Men Who Stare at Goats, and there's such a funny scene where he's like cloud bursting, and you laugh at it. That's what we're doing here. Mm-hmm. We're learning how to cloud burst from the Apostle Paul.
Wow.
So be transformed by the renewing of your minds. Notice he didn't say transform your mind.
Right.
He said you literally become transformed as a complete being. How? By renewing your mind. What are we renewing our minds to? He answered that too. And this one I want to read to you verbatim. He says, finally, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if anything is excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Does that sound familiar to you? Mm-hmm. Does that ring any bells? Is that not the exact same message we've been preaching day in and day out? Is that not the exact same thing the angels have taught us? We're not onto something new. We're onto something original, something obvious, something inherent to the way in which life itself is meant to move. We're just finally catching the hint here as adults, capable of replacing old ideas, unhelpful ideas, with new and much more responsible ideas. This is an exciting and powerful day. Mm-hmm. Is there anything else you would like to add? I'm looking at these words. I'm thinking, do you want to share any of these? Like maybe the fact that the word Christ is a perfect match to the frequency of 53.
Yeah. Yeah, we have amazing words that match this frequency today. Awakening, celebration, Christ, diamond sun, divine union, enjoy a rich life, exciting, good fortune, I am blessed, imagination, impactful, intense, knowing, nirvana, resonance, passion, purpose, richest, well-being, and zenith. So,
and that's just a short collection.
Yeah, I just was kind of cherry picking the ones that really felt like, wow, this is a cool day. This is a really important frequency. I love it. I think we nailed it though.
Yeah, we have, except you know what's cracking me up?
What?
The things we came ready to celebrate and to announce at the start of this conversation, completely forgot about them until now. That is how impactful this moment and these findings are. Yeah. We were literally so excited. It was so exciting. There's your 53. That we were swept into this joy of sharing what we've seen with you. But we actually have really exciting things to announce.
Yeah, we do.
So the first one, major milestone for us. Babe, you share this one.
We've posted over 100 videos on YouTube.
As of yesterday.
Yeah. It's been less than a month. But
we began recording on the 11th day of this month.
Wow.
Today is the 30th. So 2.5 weeks barely.
Yeah. I mean, incredible. We're amazed ourselves that we've produced this much. We've grown this much in this short amount of time. But this is sort of the perfect day to share this news, because this is kind of the frequency of that news. Like what we have experienced has been such an overflow of our energy. It's been practically effortless to be able to share in this way.
Yes.
And if it wasn't an overflow, there's no way we could have done it.
No, certainly not. Well, we know that because we never could up until this point.
Yeah. And we've talked about it for months and months and months, but
until it was time. Yeah. The only effort applied was truly it was a willingness to overcome our own insecurities. Mm-hmm. But the act of meeting you in this way has been a pure joy from end to end. Mm-hmm. Once we were able to peel away those clouds of insecurity, we were able to show up like this. We're not doing this because we need to. Mm-hmm. This isn't our job. Right. This is our life. We've chosen to share some part of that life with you because we're so overflowing ourselves that what more beautiful extension of that life than to express it in this way, than to share it in some creative, direct format, which videos are just the perfect medium of, right? This is what we get to do. As of today, we had this milestone of 100 videos in mind. At the time, a week ago when we mentioned it, it felt like, dang, that'll be a special day.
Right.
It passed in no time. Here we are. And as of today, we're past already. As of last night, we were past that milestone, which means that we have been and now remain in the overflow of even that major milestone. So that couldn't be more perfect. We saw it coming. We were super excited. We considered how special it might be for breaking 100 to happen on or before this day, so that by the time we arrived at this day, we would literally be in that overflow. Here we are. It happened.
Right on time.
Right on time. So cool. Without effort. We're celebrating that. Mm-hmm. The other thing we're really excited to share with you is mostly heads up, like a hint at what's coming. Because beginning tomorrow, we arrive at a major set of Vortex days. Not personal Vortex days, collective ones. Mm-hmm. I feel like there's a sneeze kind of sneaking up on us here.
Uh-oh.
I know. I don't want to blow away the mic. All right. Laura has a special gift for making sure I don't sneeze. Now would be a great time for you to use that gift. Okay. I think it's working.
Good.
Tomorrow, we meet the 54. That frequency of 54 is the month signature for October. Mm-hmm. Tomorrow's the last day of October. So on the last day of the month in which this particular frequency of 54 has been the signature of the month, we arrive at the 54. That is magical. You cannot make that up.
Yeah.
We didn't know that until we mapped all of this. Mm-hmm. And we've been looking forward to that day.
Yeah. Anytime you have two frequencies overlapping like that, that's what we've termed a vortex day.
Yep.
And they're just extra potent. We've already experienced one collective vortex day. It was an amazing day.
Yeah.
And we're very much thinking and expecting the same sort of day to unfold tomorrow.
We don't get to know the details.
And the next day. We certainly don't get to know the details, but we're anticipating it, we're conscious of it, and really looking forward to seeing what unfolds.
Yeah. We are wide open to the beautiful, pleasant surprises that await tomorrow. And as if that weren't awesome enough, the very next day, we move into the 55, right? So tomorrow's 54, last day of October. The next day is the 55, first day of November.
And it also happens to be a new moon day.
Really? Mm-hmm. And it happens to be 11-1, which is 111, one of our all-time favorite angel frequencies. And on top of all of this, the month of November, the month signature for November is a 55. Mm-hmm. So we have back-to-back major vortex days where the month signature overlaps the day signature in the exact month of that signature. It's really like we're expecting something special. You know, we every day is special, but some days you can just feel this like, oh man, everything is changing at warp speed in the best possible way. That's how this last one felt. This one, you know, we're just really looking forward to it. One thing we've learned is that when we meet these vortex days with our eyes open and a willingness to experience that specialness in a way that's totally personal, in a way that's totally transformative, we get that. We get
happens.
that. Yeah, the magic happens. So the reason we're telling you now is so that you too can be aware of it, so that you too can be ready and willing and open to meet that magic in your own way, to let those frequencies sing through your life as the transformative breeze that they're meant to be. Let them take away the clouds. You know? Yeah. This is really exciting. Today's has been so exciting to share. We're very excited to go live it. The sun is shining. We're ready to roll.
It's a gorgeous day today.
Yeah, and tomorrow and the next day, these are big days ahead. These are big days we're living. We can feel it. We hope you can too. We're grateful for your presence, every one of you who watches this now and forever into the future. Yes, we don't take it lightly. We recognize you as a gift of grace in the same way that we recognize our own lives to be a part of that gift. You're included in it. We treat you with the same exact respect and honor that we choose to treat our own lives. We see you when you like our videos, when you reply with comments, every one of you. Thank you. It means the world to us. We are so humbled in the best possible way to be here, to share this with you in real time. Tomorrow will be another special day, so enjoy yourselves today, and we'll see you then. Is there anything you want to add?
No, I don't think so.
All right, then let's do this.
Okay.
Let's move on into our days. Thank you very much. We'll see you soon.
Bye.